Steven Spielberg has entered the conversation surrounding Timothée Chalamet's controversial comments about ballet and opera, and the moment has quickly become one of the most talked about debates in the entertainment world right now. What began as a brief remark during a public discussion about the future of cinema has exploded into a much larger cultural conversation about respect for traditional art forms, generational perspectives in Hollywood, and the role that classical performance still plays in modern entertainment. The story really began earlier this year during a widely discussed conversation about the future of movies in theaters. Timothée Chalamet, one of the most recognizable young stars in Hollywood today, was speaking about how the film industry is trying to maintain relevance in an era where streaming services dominate how people consume entertainment. While explaining why the theatrical movie experience still matters, Chalamet made a comment that immediately caught attention. During that discussion, he explained that filmmakers today are trying to preserve something special about cinema. He said movies shouldn't become an art form where people are constantly trying to keep something alive, even though audiences have already moved on. To illustrate his point, he referenced ballet and opera as examples of art forms where, in his view, people are working hard to maintain traditions even though they may not hold the same level of mainstream attention they once did. Even though Chalamet quickly added that he had respect for artists in ballet and opera, the statement had already landed in a way that many people found dismissive. Within hours of the clip circulating online, social media erupted with reactions from artists, performers, fans of classical arts, and cultural commentators who felt the remark minimized the significance of art forms that have shaped culture for centuries. For those in the ballet and opera communities, the statement struck a particularly sensitive nerve. Ballet has existed in various forms since the Italian Renaissance in the 15th century, eventually evolving into a central cultural institution in France and Russia before spreading across the world. Opera has an equally rich history, dating back to the late 16th century in Italy, combining music, theater, and storytelling in ways that have influenced nearly every modern performance art we see today. Many performers felt that reducing these traditions to something people no longer care about ignored the dedication, physical discipline, and artistic excellence required to sustain them. Ballet dancers train from childhood, often spending 8 to 10 hours a day perfecting techniques that demand extraordinary physical control. Opera singers spend years mastering complex vocal techniques that allow them to project their voices across massive theaters without microphones. Soon after the clip began circulating, responses started pouring in from across the arts world. Ballet dancers posted videos demonstrating the strength and precision required to perform on point. Opera singers shared clips of breathtaking performances to remind audiences that these art forms are very much alive and continuing to evolve. One particularly viral response came from a New York City ballet dancer who posted a video performing an astonishing balance routine while standing on the tips of ballet shoes atop an unstable exercise platform. The video quickly spread across social media, with viewers marveling at the physical control and power required to perform even the simplest movements in ballet. The dancer's message was clear without saying a word. Ballet is not an outdated tradition clinging to life. It is a living art form that demands athleticism, discipline, and artistry at the highest level. As the debate grew louder online, celebrities and public figures began weighing in as well. Some defended Chalamet, suggesting his point was misunderstood. Others argued that the phrasing of the comment unintentionally dismissed the importance of cultural traditions that have shaped artistic expression for generations. And then, during a major film festival appearance, one of the most respected voices in Hollywood decided to address the issue. Steven Spielberg, the legendary filmmaker responsible for some of the most iconic movies in cinematic history, spoke during a conversation about the future of storytelling and the theatrical movie experience. Spielberg, whose career spans more than 5 decades, has always been a passionate advocate for preserving the communal magic of experiencing art together. While discussing why theaters still matter, Spielberg reflected on something deeper than just movies themselves. He talked about the unique emotional experience that happens when strangers gather together to watch a story unfold. He explained that when audiences sit in a theater, they are not just watching entertainment, they are sharing a collective emotional journey. People laugh together, cry together, feel suspense together, and walk away feeling connected by an experience they all witnessed at the same time. Then he expanded that idea beyond cinema. Spielberg pointed out that this same kind of shared emotional experience exists in other performance traditions as well. He spoke about concerts, theater, ballet, and opera, explaining that these art forms thrive because they bring people together in real time. He emphasized that these traditions have endured for centuries precisely because they offer something deeply human that cannot be replicated through a screen at home. The message was clear. Art forms like ballet and opera are not relics of the past. They are part of the same cultural ecosystem that includes film, music, theater, and storytelling. Although Spielberg did not directly criticize Chalamet by name, many people immediately interpreted the comments as a gentle but powerful response to the earlier remarks. Clips of Spielberg speaking quickly spread across social media, and fans praised the director for defending the importance of artistic traditions. Many viewers described the moment as a powerful reminder that entertainment should not only be judged by popularity or streaming numbers. For Spielberg, who helped define modern blockbuster filmmaking with movies like Jaws, E.T., Jurassic Park, and Schindler's List, the conversation seemed to come from a place of deep respect for all forms of storytelling. He has spent his career exploring how stories connect people emotionally, whether through historical dramas, science fiction adventures, or intimate personal narratives. That perspective carries significant weight in Hollywood. Spielberg is not only a filmmaker, but also a cultural figure whose influence stretches across generations of artists. For many people watching the debate unfold, his comments served as a reminder that the entertainment industry is part of a much larger artistic tradition. Meanwhile, the controversy surrounding Chalamet continued to grow. Some commentators argued that his comment reflected a generational shift in how younger audiences engage with culture. In the age of social media and short-form video platforms, attention spans have changed dramatically. Younger audiences often consume entertainment in quick bursts rather than long performances. This has created challenges for many traditional art forms, including theater, opera, and ballet, which typically require hours of sustained attention. However, defenders of these art forms argue that this very challenge is precisely why they remain important. Ballet and opera demand patience, focus, and emotional immersion. They encourage audiences to slow down and experience storytelling in a deeper, more deliberate way. And despite claims that audiences have lost interest, ticket sales and attendance at major opera houses and ballet companies around the world continue to demonstrate that these art forms still hold a devoted following. Major institutions regularly sell out performances months in advance, attracting audiences not only from older generations, but also from younger viewers discovering classical performance for the first time. The irony of the controversy has also been widely discussed. Chalamet himself has family connections to the world of dance. His mother worked in performing arts education, and his sister trained in ballet at an elite institution. For some critics, this made the comment even more surprising, as many assumed he would have a deeper appreciation for the discipline and artistry behind these traditions. Despite the backlash, Chalamet has not issued a formal apology. During the original conversation where the remark occurred, he attempted to soften his statement by clarifying that he respects ballet and opera performers. Still, the clip had already taken on a life of its own online. In today's media landscape, even a brief comment can become a major cultural flashpoint once it spreads across social platforms. Within days, the discussion had expanded far beyond the original context of the conversation. Instead of simply debating what Chalamet meant, people began asking larger questions. How do we measure the value of art? Should cultural importance be determined by mass popularity? And what responsibility do public figures have when speaking about artistic traditions that mean so much to people around the world? Steven Spielberg's comments seemed to offer a thoughtful answer to those questions. Rather than focusing on whether one form of entertainment is more popular than another, he emphasized the importance of preserving spaces where people can experience art together. In an era where technology allows us to watch nearly anything alone on our phones or laptops, the shared emotional energy of a live performance or a packed movie theater has become increasingly rare. Yet, for Spielberg, that shared experience remains one of the most powerful aspects of storytelling. When hundreds or even thousands of people sit together in a theater, whether they are watching a film, a ballet, or an opera, something special happens. Emotions ripple across the room. A moment of suspense holds everyone silent. A beautiful performance draws applause from strangers who suddenly feel connected. That connection is what keeps art alive. And perhaps that is why Spielberg's voice resonated so strongly in this conversation. He was not simply defending ballet or opera. He was defending the idea that art matters beyond numbers, trends, or streaming metrics. The debate surrounding Chalamet's comment may eventually fade from the headlines, but the larger conversation it sparked will likely continue. In a rapidly changing media landscape, the future of traditional art forms remains a passionate topic of discussion. What role will opera and ballet play in a digital world? How can classical arts attract younger audiences? And how do artists balance innovation with respect for tradition? For now, one thing is certain. A single remark about ballet and opera has sparked a global conversation about culture, creativity, and the enduring power of artistic expression. And when one of the greatest filmmakers in history steps into that conversation, people tend to listen. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.